Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's show. It is Wednesday, January the 21st, and this is Open Mic. It's a program in which young voices that'll represent the future of sports broadcasting are here each week on WJR. Student broadcasters who take on the big stories happening not just here in Michigan, but across the sports landscape. And a solid show laid out for you tonight. You'll hear some brand new voices as we get into the NFL playoffs with conference championship games scheduled for this weekend. We'll also get into the latest surrounding the head coaching vacancies in the NFL because there are a lot. Dolphins and Titans have already made new hires. Bills moving on from Sean McDermott. Of course, Pittsburgh now with Mike Tomlin gone. Huge turnover in the NFL with nearly a third of the teams making changes. We'll get into all that. We'll also recap one of the greatest college football national championships, certainly of my lifetime, and I think for most everybody who's listening at home. What was the atmosphere like on Indiana's campus in Bloomington? We're going to take you there with a firsthand account from one of our IU insiders who's part of the SportsCaster program as a senior at Indiana. Plus, I don't know if you heard about this, but a high school basketball player in Arizona who scored 100 points in a game. And not only that, he did it in 3 quarters. It's almost unthinkable, but it happened just last week. We'll have that story, and we'll preview the Detroit Red Wings, who will be representing their respective countries in the upcoming Winter Games in Milan Cortina. It's a big show. It's a busy show. And we're going to get started by welcoming in our newcomer, Brooke Laine from Davison High School. She is the DTV sports director. Brooke, welcome to the show.
I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, you got it. What can you tell us? So DTV, that's Davison TV. What can you tell us about DTV?
So we are a very big program. DTV stands for Davison Television, and we do anything from live newscasts to live sporting events. And as you said before, I'm their sports director, first female in about a decade. So I handle all the sports media coming in and stuff like that. And I'm their sideline reporter, so I'm going to be the main face that everyone sees at most live sporting events for sideline reporting.
Let's go. Love it. Okay, so what year are you right now?
2026.
Okay. And what was it that, I think we all have stories about how we wanted to get involved with sports. What was it that kind of, where you started to channel things and say, hey, this is what I would like to do, not just in high school, but beyond?
My story basically started back, I've always liked sports and stuff like that, but I never expected it to be a thing for me. Sophomore year, I started being a part of the sports program at DTV. I've been a part of it for 4 years, but my sophomore year, I was head of the lacrosse media for DTV, which was weird because I was I don't know much about lacrosse, but it sounds fun. And so I had to go out and get video of it and stuff for everyday newscasts. And one day I just went out there and I was doing it all by myself, and I got an interview all by myself, and I was just this is so much fun. I love this, and I just want to continue to keep doing this. And ever since then, I've just been building up and building up and building up to just more and more stuff and widening my knowledge and expanding what I do. And it's been very enjoyable for me.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's a great story because, I think for all of us, it's once you get that first start, I always say sports, if it courses through your veins, and for some people, it's kind of take it or leave it. There's some casual fans where it's yeah, sports are fine, but it's just a part of life. But it may not be, all of their life or the center of it all. Not to say that we're all just so narrow-minded where sports is everything, but, in a lot of ways, sports, whether it be lacrosse or whatever it is important. It's important to a lot of people, and to be a part of it, in whatever capacity we are, whether you're working sidelines or working to get interviews conducted, it's we want to tell stories and share that with everybody else, and I think for a lot of people, when we see a lot of, national personalities, they all started somewhere, at Davison High School, and they got their start, and then they said, hey, this is it. So anyway, we're grateful to have you on the show for the first time, and look forward to seeing some of your work throughout your years ahead. Let's talk NFL, if I can go there with you, because the NFL Conference Championships are coming up this weekend. Both will be played on Sunday. What's your read? What's your take on the AFC? We've got the Patriots and the Broncos squaring off.
For myself personally, I think it's the Patriots. At the last game, Bo Nix got injured. He has a fracture and everything like that. And having to have a quarterback be able to step up during a championship playoff game, especially with Jarrett Stidham, he hasn't had much play time this season. They want to make sure that he doesn't make many mistakes, and I think the Patriots are very hunting of mistakes. So if Jarrett makes a mistake, I'm sure that the Patriots are going to feed off of that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Yeah, Jarrett Stidham, is going to step in. It was just crazy, like what happened with Bo Nix at the end of the game. It was such a great game. The Broncos beat the Bills in overtime, and obviously the Patriots beating the Texans. That was a great game. But yeah, when you get to this point, it's like conference championship game. Now we've seen it a couple years ago. Like with the Eagles, like Nick Foles went on a run. You go all the way back to like when Baltimore Colts, way back in the day when Johnny U got hurt, and it takes them all the way to the championship. But I think when you look at it on paper, you say ideally, if the Broncos were at full strength with Bo Nix, it changes everything. But what are they going to do with the backup quarterback? So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out for sure. I don't know if it's a coin flip game. I do agree with you. I think like with the Patriots, they have such a, like with Mike Vrabel, it's like the whole personality, that attitude. Like you said, they have like a hunting style defense. Just the way in which they play. So it's going to be a great game coming up on Sunday. I'm interested mostly in the NFC Championship game with the Rams and Seahawks because I think that one's like the way I've been watching Seattle play here, of late. I do feel like that they might be the best team still remaining in of the four. But that's my personal opinion, and nobody really cares. So what is your take on the NFC Championship game, Rams and Seahawks?
Again, like I said before, I feel like it could be the Seahawks, and they are very strong defensively and offensively. 40-6 against the 49ers.
Yeah.
I don't think the 49ers were playing their best that day, but still they were very strong in that game and being able to defeat the 49ers. And also the Seahawks, it also comes down to experience. Matthew Stafford is like one of the only quarterbacks so far in this championship that's gone to a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Were you a Matt Stafford fan during his time in Detroit?
Yes, I was.
Well, the guy can still play, obviously, and obviously under Sean McVay. I mean, those guys, the Rams are incredible. For them to beat the Bears in the fashion which they did in less than ideal conditions. I think for a lot of our listeners, are still rooting for Stafford and because he gave everything he could, to the Detroit Lions, during for the organization during his time here. That'll be an interesting game for me. I think, again, being in Seattle, I think, they call it the 12th man for a reason. It's a very tough environment. So we'll see what it's like in Seattle come Sunday night. But I do think it's going to be two incredible championship games. And just going back to what you were mentioning about, like, the way Seattle dominated the 49ers. The Niners had a ton of injuries during that game, but you credit, it's not a fluke when you win 40 or 41-6. It was like they put it on the Niners, so they're deserving to be there. It'll be compelling to watch, certainly coming up this weekend. It'll be compelling to watch your career as it moves forward. And I appreciate you coming on the show. Both conference championships are scheduled for Sunday. AFC will be at 3 o'clock on CBS, and the NFC Championship is 6:30 on Fox. Of course, this year's Super Bowl will be played on February the 8th, of course, Super Bowl Sunday at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. All right, when we come back, we're going to switch from the NFL to college football and recap what was an incredible 2026 College Football National Championship between Indiana and Miami. You're listening to Open Mic here on WJR.